I'm planning a special trip to Spain with our parents to celebrate his retirement. To make the most of our joyous trip, I will be utilizing your Platinum card for purchases as of right now. We have to depart shortly, so I hope you can see the urgency. I'm not quite sure. Could you elaborate on what you meant to do with my card? Could you elaborate on the journey a little bit? I apologize, but I have to go now. When I get back, we can talk about the specifics. However, just be aware that the card could not function. Money seems that my spouse, Daniel, has already used money to pay for a trip to see our parents. Daniel is someone I've put up with a lot, but this is becoming beyond me. He'll regret his choice when he gets back. My name is Elizabeth, and I graduated from a famous institution and have built a great career at a major firm. I am 35 years old. Even though I'm young, I make enough money to support Daniel, who isn't working right now, as well as maybe a child, though we haven't yet started a family. After 4 years of marriage, we're thinking about starting a family. Even though I have a reliable career and a healthy salary, I'm not totally content with my life. The notion of starting a family remains merely that, a notion. Daniel's unemployment, meanwhile, is an unavoidable fact. I had a snack earlier, so I'm not hungry tonight, but that's not as bad as Daniel's work predicament. Instead of going to a job interview today, he stayed at home and looked through employment websites. Since quitting his previous full-time employment a year ago, Daniel has only had temporary part-time jobs, which he has left after a short while. Right now, he's considering part-time and full-time work. I'm always telling him to concentrate on getting a full-time job. I know everything has its proper time, but I wish he could find a job that will last. He left his former work for a cause, so it's understandable that he can't be pushed too hard. But it's time he found a stable position. Daniel's disagreement over work policies led to a difficult situation at his previous job. With the support of his coworkers, he first refused to back down from his supervisor. But when things got more heated, Daniel's colleagues turned back to the boss, leaving him alone, feeling deceived and deserted. He eventually resigned from the company after finding it more and more difficult to stay on. Following his resignation, Daniel withdrew into himself and stayed mostly by himself in his room. After a few weeks, he started to assist with household chores and get back involved in daily life. He was joking about it, saying he had lots of time on his hands, but his smile stopped short of his eyes. Daniel took an additional 3 weeks before he resumed his job search. He was eager to start over and felt positive about the interviews, but he found that finding a job was harder than he had thought. Rejections mounted despite his qualifications and efforts, which he linked to his acrimonious exit from his prior position. He became discouraged and began to doubt his value as a result. Daniel was profoundly impacted by the cycle of rejection, which made him feel defiant and despairing. I once returned home to discover resumes in shredded form all over the floor of the living room. His most recent interview had obviously not gone well. I took a measured approach and advised him to discard the torn documents. Then Daniel said he wanted to give up looking for a job completely because we could make ends meet on my pay alone. Though some people are happy being stay-at-home moms full-time, Daniel never saw himself in this role. It appeared more like a way out of the difficulties he was having finding work. I chose to give him room and support in the hopes that he would find his way because I understood how difficult he was and the effects of his previous work experience. The arrangement wasn't long-term viable, so in the interim, we needed to have a serious discussion about our future and his job goals. Since I've always been committed to my profession, I won't be sitting about over this long sabbatical. It's intended to be a time of getting ready for the next phase. Hearing that you're concentrating on the future is comforting. There are dynamics associated with living near to my in-laws, Daniel's parents, Helen and Peter. After Daniel quit his work, they began to visit him more often, probably out of concern for him. They were genuinely happy to learn that he was preparing for his next professional step, but the truth was far different. "Can you get some more beer on your way home? We're running low." One evening, I inquired. "Once more, you're imbibing excessively. Try to reduce it a little," I kindly advised. "Okay, I'll stop asking now." Daniel gave a fairly brusque response. "I'll get it myself." Daniel was not, despite appearances, getting ready for a new career. He spent much of his days drinking beer and watching TV. I believe he was ashamed of his unemployment and decided to spare his parents the whole truth in order to spare their feelings. Having not looked for a job for almost 4 months, I thought it was time to confront the big issue. "Daniel, perhaps it's time to resume your job search. You appear more at ease now," I dared. "My last job ended just 7 months ago. After everything that occurred, you want me to go back to work?" He asked in a tone that was both irritated and incredulous. I simply feel like there has been a long pause. I pushed, "Let's not drag this out," but was met with a "avoid bothering me." When things are going well at work, you are unable to comprehend how I feel. You know, I have my issues. Everybody has relationship and career concerns. Though Daniel left during our chat, obviously angered by our exchange, it felt like a step forward that he agreed to begin job hunting despite the tension. I was going to apologize to Daniel when he calmed down, hoping to diffuse the situation. He surprised me with his next report, saying, "I got a job because you pushed me." One day with a tone that was both reluctant and acknowledging. "It's fantastic. Where?" I inquired. He answered, "At a nearby supermarket," and said, "So you'll need to learn and work hard, right?" His reply was contemptuous. "It's only a part-time job. Not too much labor is required." I think any employment, full-time or part-time, is important, but I refrained from saying anything more because I wanted to wait and see whether this would help him get back on track. Daniel declared, "I'm home," a few days later. "You returned early. How is your work at the pub?" I mixed up his real workplace when I asked. "I left my job at the grocery store. There was a bossy college student who kept telling me where to store the boxes. It seemed like harassment," he said, clearly frustrated. The student was probably just giving him advice on how to do things properly, which is standard procedure in any workplace. Yet Daniel kept finding and losing jobs. It became evident that obtaining the correct job was not the only obstacle Daniel faced in keeping a job. Since our last meaningful conversation about jobs a year ago, Daniel has told me that he is currently working part-time in a pub, an industry he has never attempted before. It intrigues him, and he thinks he may have found his real calling. "Are you serious?" "That sounds great," I reply, but I can't help but worry about the cost. But isn't the income from a part-time job in a restaurant somewhat limited? Daniel tells me, "That's okay," his eyes bright with a newfound resolve. "I'm apprenticing right now with the goal of becoming independent. One day, I hope to purchase my own home." That seems like a good plan, I respond, sincerely that he has a purpose. And I gave him some cash to support his new business. "Here, take this and treat yourself to something nice for once," I said. But soon enough, the truth peeks out from behind Daniel's upbeat exterior. He leaves the pub job 5 days after our talk. Furthermore, he keeps lying to everyone, even his parents, from whom he fraudulently obtains money. This information comes as a severe blow, and I'm left feeling disappointed and angry with my spouse. I take advantage of a chance one evening while he's watching a movie, resolved to deal with the problem head-on rather than avoid it altogether. Hey Daniel, let's talk, I say, reaching for the remote and pausing the movie. It's frustrating when you pause at the best part. What is it? Daniel complains, clearly annoyed. Daniel, you're 37 now, right? That's prime working age. Don't you think about the future? Spending all day at home drinking and just watching TV. The future. There are plenty of 37-year-olds not working. Many people enjoy life without a job, he retorts defensively. True, work isn't everything, but those people have something else they're dedicated to. Do you have something like that? Yeah, I know you're upset about me not working. I'll look for another part. One day, while I was at work, I received an unexpected text from Daniel. Dad's retiring, so we're going to Spain to celebrate. Starting today, I'm borrowing your platinum card. We're going to enjoy ourselves on your credit card. Alarmed, I call him immediately. What do you mean, a trip? Just what I said. I don't understand. Just what I said. Please explain. The implications of his actions are manifold. Celebrating Peter's retirement is fine, but Daniel should have discussed the trip with me before using and essentially taking my money and credit card without asking. The thought that he might have told his parents he paid for it himself, using my credit card no less, fuels my anger and sense of betrayal. This situation is a stark reminder that despite some steps forward, deeper issues still need to be addressed. Daniel's recent actions brought us to a notable moment in our ongoing struggles with responsibility and communication as we discussed his upcoming trip to Spain. Daniel mentioned something that caught me off guard. My attention, you mentioned borrowing a credit card. Do you mean the one from our house? Yeah, why? He replied nonchalantly. I own a platinum credit card. Contrary to popular belief, it's not just for those with high incomes. Factors like credit history and stable income play a part. It's quite possible to secure one in your 30s. Despite its high annual fee, I find value in the benefits and points it offers. However, that credit card was supposed to be in my wallet, so you took the credit card from home. I pressed. Yeah, so I'm counting on you for the payment. Daniel responded a bit too cheerfully for the situation. His casual demeanor and readiness to depart made it clear he thought he had everything under control. But the truth was about to complicate his plan significantly. What are you waiting for? We need to leave, he urged, eager to get moving. Hold on, I interrupted. The credit card you took won't work. What? That can't be right. It's under Elizabeth's name, and it expires this month. It's close, but it shouldn't be an issue, he countered, disbelief creeping into his voice. You're lying, Elizabeth. You're lying to stop me from using the card, aren't you? Daniel accused, his frustration mounting. Yes, it does expire this month, I admitted. That's why I've already received a new credit card. Sometimes when a new card is activated, the old one stops working. I've already started using the new card, so the one you took won't work. Are you kidding me? You think I'm lying? Daniel's voice was tinged with panic now. If you don't believe me, I can send you the URL to the credit card website, or you can just try using the card. It would be funny to see you try to pay with a card that doesn't work. This credit card really won't work, he muttered more to himself than to me. I could hear his parents calling him in the background, but he seemed too flustered to respond. What should I do? I told them I'd pay for everything except the round-trip travel. Oh, they covered the flight? Yes. Dad felt bad about covering all the trip costs, Daniel explained, a hint of relief in his voice. What should I do? I'm about to take a cab, and I don't even have money for that. That's not my problem, I responded firmly. You said you would pay for everything except the flight. Using my credit card in the first place was wrong. You should pay with your own money." "How can I? I don't have any money right now," Daniel exclaimed, the reality of his predicament sinking in. "Daniel, you haven't been taking work seriously." I concluded, the situation unfolding as a stark reminder of the broader issues at play. Daniel's reliance on deception, rather than facing his responsibilities, head-on led us to yet another crossroads. It all came to a head when Daniel tried to impress his parents by taking them on a trip without having any actual means to fund it. As I hung up the phone to return to my work, I left Daniel in a predicament where he would eventually need to confess to his parents about his financial deception. Later that evening, after my workday ended, I received a call from Helen, Daniel's mother. "I heard from Daniel. He tried to use your credit card and lied about working." "I'm sorry for the trouble," she apologized. "No, don't apologize, Helen. I'm sorry for the inconvenience with the credit card. Are you okay with the money?" I asked, trying to smooth over the immediate concerns. "We'll cover the cost of this trip when we return. I'll make sure Daniel apologizes and starts looking for a job immediately," Helen assured me, though her voice carried a hint of worry. "I appreciate that, Helen, but I'm considering divorcing Daniel," I confessed, letting the weight of my decision hang between us. "Divorce? Because of this?" Helen's surprise was evident even through the phone. "It's part of it," I admitted. "Daniel has been taking money from me for a while. I stopped giving him money to limit his drinking. He got a part-time job and started buying his alcohol, but his salary couldn't cover his daily expenses. He's been taking money from my wallet to buy alcohol. Sometimes just $10, sometimes $50. Over a year, it added up. When he took my credit card for this trip, it wasn't just about the money anymore. It made me realize he had no intention of changing." "I understand. Should I inform Daniel about the divorce?" Helen asked, her tone now somber. Could you just tell him I want a divorce? We'll discuss the rest when he gets home," I requested, hoping to manage the situation more personally once he returned. The next morning, Daniel called, likely having learned about the divorce from Helen. I felt drained and chose not to answer. That evening, when I returned home from work, I found Daniel had cut his trip short and was waiting for me in the living room. "I'll start working seriously now. Please don't leave me," he pleaded, his apology seeming sincere. Seeing Daniel immediately apologize and display remorse was unexpected, but it came far too late. He had a whole year to change, yet here he was asking for another chance now. After all my repeated warnings and the countless opportunities he wasted, I said, "I'm not going to give you another chance, Daniel. You gave up on me a long time ago. My decision is final. Can you leave?" I stood firm in my resolve to move forward without him. The cycle of broken promises had to end, and with it, our path together. "Please don't say that. If you won't leave, should I move out?" "Only if you can afford the rent here," I told Daniel, my voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside me. Daniel stopped talking. He was burdened by the stark realities of his precarious financial situation and impending divorce. Not to mention a reliable source of income, he didn't have enough money for rent for the upcoming month. He appeared to dwindle in front of my eyes as the realization dawned. Daniel had no choice but to silently leave the house. I saw him leave. Though I forced myself to remember that Daniel is not a child, a part of me wanted to give assistance with transportation. He must take care of his business. Seeing him go under such peculiar circumstances was a terrible event. Helen called me later, after Daniel had left for his parents' place. He was supposed to depart the following day, but they had allowed him to stay for the night. They were concerned that if he lingered on, it would increase his reliance on them. Even though it was difficult for them, they thought it was essential to Daniel's growth. Daniel spoke with obvious desperation when he got back to our place. "Please provide a hand. I have no money and nowhere to go," he begged. "That is the outcome of what you did. You must take care of this on your own," I firmly said. All Daniel had done in the last year was shirk his duties and do as he wanted. Denying him admission, turning him away at our doorstep, was agonizing but essential. With his parents' help, the heated divorce processes moved forward quickly. I don't know exactly what happened to Daniel after that. It's likely that he's still taking jobs and making up reasons why he can't stay in one place. Without Daniel, I didn't feel as lonely as I had anticipated. He had always made me nervous, and I had to tread carefully around him so as not to irritate him. Living without having to cater to his whims has allowed me to live a more comfortable life. Our existence together had unintentionally become a burden, something I didn't completely realize until he passed away. I'm living a lighter, more genuine life now that I'm free of that burden and am not dependent on the shortcomings and wants of other people.